What's up, everyone, and welcome to Tide Talk, the Rhode Island FC podcast that's for the fans, by the fans. I'm your host, Matt, and whether you're a day one sicko or new to RIFC, you found your home. Every episode, we're breaking down the latest from Rhode Island FC, the matches, the moments, the players, and everything happening in and around the club. Before we dive in, make sure you're following Tide Talk across all the social media platforms. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok, and everywhere else you scroll. Stay locked in for updates, exclusive contents, and all things Rhode Island FC. If you're joining us on YouTube, please say hi and share your thoughts in the chat. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast, please take a second to like, subscribe, and leave us a rating and review, as it helps us grow and bring you even better content each and every week. All right, let's cozy up, crack a beer, and dive into this one. As always, I'm joined by my good friend Ryan. Ryan, what's happening, man?
What's up, man? Happy Memorial Day.
Happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone joining us. A night later, we were out at a party. I know people were doing their thing last night, so we decided to kick back a day, and hopefully you were able to crack a few more beers because of that.
Yes, and a big shout out to anyone who served, and obviously the meaning behind the holiday for sure.
Absolutely. Late as always, we got a bunch of Up the Tide, so thank you for everyone taking that time out joining us. Quadra says that you looked like you huffed some smelling salts before the start of this one. You were really getting in the zone?
I wasn't, because I saw that it didn't work out in Portland, so I didn't want to mess with the podcast too much.
Fair. What's up, sickos? Thank you again to everyone who joined us. Ryan, it was awesome seeing you. You ran a solo mission to Tidewater, M7 included, for the pregame on Saturday, but good seeing you in there, and talk a little bit about one of your first games back and the lead up to it.
Yeah, it felt good. Went to High Motor before the game. Can never recommend it enough. The steak and cheese is phenomenal there. They pour a great Guinness. And then, I popped over to M7. I was so psyched. It was a classic drop-off situation, which is always fun. So wife dropped me off, and then it was up to me for the rest of the night. So I brought one single beer and just got to hang out with you all, which is great. As you're sporting right now, I got to talk to the RI Rogues and, I think their founder. She was really fantastic. They had a lot of great merch on display there. So definitely make sure, if you weren't able to join Defiance in the Lot, to check out their kind of the merch they have on their website, as well as check out games. They play in and around, I think they played at Rick this weekend. They also play down in Bristol, which is absolutely beautiful. But just a really great atmosphere as always going into the game, and something I have desperately missed.
Yeah, for sure. Really cool atmosphere leading up to that. Before we start today, I don't think you did, but let us know in the chat if you did. Did you hold Big Chicken accountable today?
I did not. I was overruled on lunch idea for that, but I know you did. Someone had to.
I took Graham and Zach in the car with me. Kelly wasn't feeling too good, so she stayed home. But we did a boys' field trip to claim those 3 chicken sandwiches as you needed a person in your car for each ticket to make it count. And the guy had me roll down the windows to count the kids. Like it was legit. Like chicken was getting a little stingy today. You have to hold them accountable. You have to make sure you get your free chicken.
I mean, they couldn't have budgeted for too many sandwiches this year. So the fact that it's happened a few times, I think they're getting a little worried.
I'm glad people are saying they held them accountable, and they did. So thank you to everyone for continuing that message. Let Big Chicken know they're not off the hook. They even tried to sour it and get some rain in to make people leave and forget about it. But boy, oh boy, Big Chicken Nation showed up. So we love to see it. All right. So a very nice match, march to the match in the road that's pretty much fully closed now, which is an absolute wild sight. I'm surprised we haven't pivoted yet. I know Matt Jean told me there always has to be some kind of a path with it being an active construction site, but it's kind of like walking through like the Flintstones gravel pit to get to Tidewater nowadays.
I couldn't believe that. This was my first march to the match of the year, and I was alarmed with, especially, like hanging out with like Graham, especially, like he'll just go and do anything. And I'm like, Graham, I am very worried about you running around an active construction site. Like there's generally holes that I think are 20 feet deep, just like next to us as we walk.
Yeah. I mean, one false move, and I saw Joe Burns almost lose an ankle on one of them, and that was on the paved part. So, it happens. Pretzels are coming up in the chat, Ryan. Did you get a pretzel in your triumphant return?
I had someone, I can't remember who it was kind enough to give me a pretzel bite. It was just last year. Too. I think it was Graham. He's a lovely young man. Yeah, just the demise, if there were any conversations about it, were highly oversold. They're delicious as always. I'm still a full pretzel guy versus the bites, but I definitely, don't worry. I'll start carbo loading all summer to make sure I'm getting those pretzels in. So it'll be good. But no, it was lovely to be back at Tidewater with a beer in my hand and a pretzel bite in the other. So
that's it. Love it. All right, let's take a look. We'll start with the 11. We had Koke Vegas, Aldair Sanchez, Hugo Baccarat, Leo Afonso, JJ Williams, Clay Holstad, Jojea Quizera, Nick Scardina, Karifi Yao, Hamidi Jope, Amos Shapiro Thompson. So a pretty strong 11. It was, basically seeing, I believe, Amos kind of coming in for Pity on playing the 10, if you will, in this role, compared to what we've been seeing consistently. But I think people, if any changes wanted to be seen, they were probably pretty upset with seeing Jope in the lineup after the Portland performance, and maybe would have liked to have seen him out. But with Frank still out, I think that's not going to happen for a while. Overall, though, pretty strong 11. Pretty excited to see a lot of these names on the team sheet.
Yeah, I thought the midfield construction was very interesting. I don't know that we've seen like these three players play in the midfield. Again, we talked a ton about how just we are very. If there's one position on the pitch that we are kind of like overflowing with talent, it's really in the midfield. So no concerns. It's just like interesting, slightly different profiles there. And then I think we were never sure if Frank was going to be back. So seeing Nick Scardina back there as well as Diop. I mean, I think the thing that's interesting about Diop, like obviously we were very critical of his performance last week, but I like the balance, especially if you're playing that kind of back four of having a left footer on the left and a right footer on the right. And also, speaking of the right footer, seeing Karifi Yao back, he's kind of been MIA for a few matches. He had a match a few weeks ago that I don't think was his best one yet, but he kind of had to sit out for a little bit, maybe think about what he did. I don't know, he's in timeout, but nice to see him back out there because he's been such a core piece and defender of the year two years running. So
true, definitely need him there. And I think it was pretty much kind of what we would expect, what we would see. I was okay with Pity getting a rest too, because Pity has played a lot of minutes, and being a lone player, you got to figure there's some kind of stipulations and starts and stuff like that. So definitely fine with him seeing a little bit of rest and then coming on later in this one.
Yeah, I mean the one player I'll just continue to be worried about for no reason is just Aldair. Like the man can't buy a rest.
A day off.
Yeah. But no, I mean, he seems very healthy and doing great. So it's great. Long may it continue, but the poor guy is just playing every minute possible.
For sure. Thoughts early on the first half in this one, Ryan. It seemed like we were content to kind of let them have the ball, play off of it a little bit. Brooklyn not getting themselves into any dangerous areas early on in this one. We were able to kind of get into the attacking third here and there. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but thoughts of the early game state.
Yeah, not much to really note at that point. I do think the interesting thing, and Matt Hands brought it up, was how that midfield ended up kind of deploying themselves. It was less of having kind of two defensive or kind of, as we call them, eights with a 10 in front of them, and more about having Hugo kind of stay back as that defensive midfielder with two kind of center midfielders in front of him. So that was interesting, a slight shift to what we've seen so far. But overall, there wasn't much of no, honestly, I thought the strange part, the stadium felt very quiet for the first 10, 15 minutes. It was really weird. I kept turning to my hands and I'm like, has this been like this all season? So that was strange. And then, there are literally people you could hear yell offense, play offensive. It was that quiet that you could hear people scream specific things. So kind of a strange atmosphere to start with, no one really finding a foothold in the game.
Yeah. I mean, it did have that quiet feel, but I think people were still kind of on eggshells about what happened in Portland.
Yep.
And we weren't pressing, we weren't attacking. So I think people were kind of cagey or a little bit on edge based on what they had seen the previous week.
I mean, I don't hate Pawtucket Jay's suggestion in the chat.
All right. Fuck that first half. Get to the good stuff. Luckily, we have one big talking point in the first half from the 39th minute. So let's take a look at that.
But those are the areas when you're playing against a team that wants to press you that you need to take advantage of for Rhode Island.
And Rhode Island after it again. Over to Quizera. Quizera! That ball had eyes for the back post. Jojea Quizera opens the scoring for Rhode Island.
Nice bit of press there from JJ to kind of spring all of this and get it going. And then a very, very nice finish from JJ Quizera on this one, Ryan.
Yeah, and I think we were really building up to this moment. Like, there's a couple of moments I actually wrote down. Like, Jackson Lee is absolutely standing on his head this first half. He made a couple big saves, especially off a header from JJ. There's one that he took right off the line. So I was really getting worried that it was going to be a big time Jackson revenge game was going to be the whole narrative of the show tonight. But yeah, luckily, Jojea scores, and he scored from the left wing. So I do have to eat some crow. I have been complaining a lot on this show about this whole idea of switching the wingers around the 35th minute every single first half. And I think literally 30 seconds after they did it this game, they score immediately. So yeah, I had to eat a little bit of crow there because it was really funny the amount of people who turned around to me. It's fun learning that more and more of 205 is Tide Talk listeners, to my own detriment, because every single person was like, "Hey Ryan, they switched the wingers. Look at that." So yep, you guys all win on that one, but it was a very funny moment for me personally.
That's it. Matt Hands calls it out. Switching wings, Kano, tactical genius. We also had, I'll skip ahead to one of our good, better, best, was Mike Moniz with good, the 30-minute wing switch, producing the first goal. Better, 4 goals, 2 braces, Jojea and JJ staying hot. Best, blame it on the rain. It's not a home game without a little rain in the bucket. And I will say, I told Matt Jean, I told Irvin pregame in this one, in M7 in the tailgate, I really hope it rains. Irvin got really pissed at me, but I'm glad the rain gods did listen. Give us a little bit of rain, guarantee the win. That's how it works. Also,
shout out to Mike Moniz. I met him last night for the first time. Very, very nice guy.
Oh, awesome. You mentioned Jackson, and to your point, very easily could have been 3 or 4 to nothing at halftime in this one. But Matt Jean says Jackson Lee is the 5th best Lee. We got Stan, Bruce, Suni, and Paul, and then Jackson. So
not in this heart, I'll tell you that much.
I don't know. I'd have Paul a little bit higher.
Yeah,
our guy.
Obviously.
But we'll switch it up a little bit and take a look at first half stats. RIFC outpossessed Brooklyn 52 to 48%, outshot them 8-1 with 3 on target to 0. 2 big chances for Rhode Island, 79% passing accuracy for Rhode Island to 78 for Brooklyn, 5 fouls to 4, and we had 1 corner to their 3. Any other big takeaways from this first half, Ryan?
No, I mean, you can see it right there. They're 1 shot, no on target, no big chance. It was very much all Rhode Island FC. Especially, we really grew into the half, and you really going into halftime felt there was only one team that was going to win or even come close to winning this match. So I think I said it on my my terrace talk, which was great to get involved in this one. That I thought we were going to win 3-0 at least. We were really looking better. But yeah, we'll talk about what happens after this.
For sure. So we'll switch gears a little bit. We'll hop into the second half and, kind of more of the same to start the half. But we did see this happen in the 62nd minute, I believe. So take a look at that.
Leaks out to Olney. Olney off the post and in! How in the world did Olney score that? An answered prayer for Olney in Brooklyn. Their level inside half an hour to play in Pawtucket.
So we always talk about our defenders, midfield, anyone auxiliary getting back and giving guys time and giving guys space. And I think that's a cross going right, or a potential cross going right. I don't think that was a shot by any stretch of the means. But he did have the time and space to get that ball in that area. And that's the frustrating thing, because we've seen it over and over again with this Rhode Island FC team. But when this goal hit, as good as we, kind of looked, and as good as Jackson was playing for Brooklyn, did you have that oh shit feeling of we're going to leave here with a draw again?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it obviously is a very lucky cross. You absolutely nailed it. We talked about at least 3 or 4 episodes this year where our team, we just are not closing down either the cross or the long shot this year. And I don't understand it for a team that is so I would describe us as intense in a lot of ways. At our best, we're intense. When we're high pressing, we're tackling, we're closing people down. It's the one place that we're I don't know if we're afraid that we're going to get dribbled around or something, but we just refuse to really come out hard on these crosses. But it was super lucky, but it's that's the exact kind of luck that keeps kind of shitty performances a draw or
Right.
even goes behind. So like all of a sudden they have
kind of
some
luck
life.
you allow the other team to have.
That yeah, so like it was one of those moments where you're like, did we just kind of give them that spark that now they're going to feel like they can actually hang this game? Because through 62 minutes they weren't in it at all. So yeah, I was definitely really nervous. But it's always funny because like on the preview episode, I think I did 1-1 draw, which I was like, oh crap, that's not good that that's coming through. But like I always laugh because like anytime you predict the other team to score, like that actually has to happen at some point. And like not that I thought we were going to lose this game, but it's such always a funny moment when you're like, hey, we're going to win 4-1, and you're like, you still have that oh shit moment. The other team has to score, but you don't really think about it when you think of such like a good victory. So yeah, I was definitely to your original question, like very nervous at this point because it felt like such like a 2026 kind of RIFC narrative, or even 2025, just like we're gonna let this team in this game. Same thing we happened with Jacksonville, where like they weren't in it at all. We were crushing them. And it's at home where like we've really struggled for whatever reason. So luckily the weather gods shine down upon us.
For sure. Timmy says, holy shit, there's almost as many people here as to watch Arsenal lift the trophy. So for all of you people here, make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. Thank you for that. Beautiful segue, Timmy.
I can't believe that was brought up on this episode. I thought we were just going to ban any comment that mentioned that.
True. If things had gone a different way, we might have been able to ban those comments, but we're fine. We're okay. 10 minutes after that goal, we did see this from Rhode Island.
Advantage played. Williams has an opening there. Wasn't quite able to play it. Instead, out to Quizera's move to the right. Quizera! Oh, that is a stunner! Oh, it's a magnificent strike from Jose Quizera! The goal of the year!
You get to see my arms in there. Give Quizera a little love after that one. I hit him with a scuba too when he ran over. So, great stuff. And, a brace on the night for him. A beautiful ball to Clay to kind of, put him into that position. I expected him to try to play JJ in, but goes for the absolute worldie. And you know what that means.
Hey, man, crack a cold one, man. Crack a cold one tonight.
You got to crack 2 cold ones tonight for JJ. That one. Always good stuff. Andrew Quadros will never sing about this one. That was my RFC in 3. It was fuck Andrew Quadros with the but just a really nice play in transition. Also, as much as we like to shit on USL Championship officiating, a really nice advantage played by Mr. Joshua Encarnacion on this one.
It was actually funny because like I didn't know, like I my first reaction seeing this again was like, wow, that guy kicked the shit out there. I cannot believe you didn't call that. Yeah, I was like, I can't believe you didn't call that when he played the advantage. I was like, okay, thank God. Yeah, I mean, I think this was after the Portland game. I think one of the
before you get going on that, Dave reminds us, make sure you go vote for this one for goal of the week. It's up for USL Championship goal of the week.
Yeah, I mean, he I think we were pretty critical of him. I think him and Giap are probably the 2 players we called out more specifically in Portland. And the reason why is like Jose, this is not the normal. Like obviously this is a world-class goal, but like he's been playing at a very, very high level all year. I think Matt Hand said like he's one of the highest rated players in the league this year so far, and especially since he's come back from the international duty, like he's been unbelievable on this right wing. So that's why it was so disappointing, like in Portland, where he just wasn't at that high standard. But yeah, unbelievable goal from him. I'm loving the celebration where he just runs into the fans and like starts dapping people up. I think it's hilarious. Just honestly a very funny guy if you ever get to talk to him. And also the team.
My orange watch band you can see in the upper corner above his head.
Yeah, and I have to shout out the team. They put up a really great video with him this week of him kind of telling his life story a bit. It's on the Rhode Island FC socials. It's really, really good. Fantastic backstory. And just someone who you just really want to root for. So, yeah, he's in red hot form in the league, I guess, at this point. So, long may it continue.
Yeah, very, very good stuff.
Now, one thing before we go further that we saw in that goal we didn't really talk about was the sub of Pity on the left wing. Were you surprised about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've kind of seen Kano's commitment to Pity playing in that 10 role and what that looks like. But I guess with, kind of what was available, what was going out there, it was a good experiment to put him out on that wing, kind of see what that looked like. You weren't really getting much from Leo. So I liked it. How about you?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was even more interesting when Noah came in and he played actually in the 10 and they kept Pity on the wing. So interesting, kind of a couple tactical tweaks tonight in terms of like where Kano was lining people up, whether it was Amos kind of more in that attacking midfielder role and then Pity on the wing. It's just different looks for the team. So yeah, I like these little micro experiments sometimes and seeing what people can do in different places.
Yeah, I think in a game like this where you had the better chances, it was level at that point. Why not try? Why not experiment? And see what can work if you're trying to get a goal, and see what combinations work, as we've only kind of stuck with the same one. So I think that was really good stuff.
Yeah, I just see people in the chat saying that Timmy's high, so I'm just excited to read back what's going on.
Oh yeah, it's let's see, where was Timmy? Timmy's saying how we were 7-3-3 in games ref by Encarnacion, thought he was good.
And people do not agree with that statement.
No, Joe Burns particularly, resident ref in house. You're high, Timmy. He was bad. So we've got a lot of anti.
I am shocked that Timmy Sclafani has a bad take. I'm shocked about that.
Yeah. But all right, we'll switch gears a little bit and we'll take a look at the next goal in this one that happened to be just 3 minutes later. Came quick, which was pretty good and pretty exciting. And I think this is when the rain started to, kind of dribble in.
It's really the only group that feels that way. Snap down, Scardina, back to Williams! J.J. Williams! A rocket inside the post! Inserts the dagger for Rhode Island. The goals in this game have been wild.
What a first-time hit. Just a clinical finish. I don't even know if you can say it was a nice ball from Scardina, but it was a ball into JJ, and he just does the rest and, makes it look incredible.
Yeah, I mean, when your striker does that, like you can put any ball into him anywhere, and it works out for you. You get the assist either way. But yeah, crazy hit by JJ. I can't honestly think of many goals I've seen like that. So yeah, I mean, the announcer, his reaction I think was really perfect. Like he almost seemed surprised at the moment, but also his call out. Like these were, I would say, our 2 goal or 3 goals so far were very interesting. I would say theirs was kind of like a bit of luck, but overall, like very fun atmosphere. And then like it was really funny. I was with a bunch of people who had been to a few games, but had actually, I don't think, seen us score a goal or scored like 1 goal in like 4 games. So they were like, "Oh my god!" Like I didn't realize this could happen.
Anything is possible. Yeah. And luckily, or was that it?
No, one more.
No, sorry. That was at the 82nd. 3 minutes later, we were able to see JJ get his brace and give it the final scoreline of 4-1 with this.
This has been worth the price of admission and then some. Williams! Rhode Island's pouring it on!
So we talked about Big Chicken earlier, a booming header to earn that chicken for the crowd. And we always say kick it at the gaggle of dudes, but if you kick it at the tall guy who's unmarked by anyone and give him a chance to flick it on, that'll work too.
It was one of those moments I was like, I'm feeling bad for Jackson at this point because like he has deserved none of these goals past him. And yeah, I mean, I love cocky JJ. Like cocky JJ is one of my favorite players ever to watch. So love that he's kind of finding that form. My only critique is I need when someone scores a corner to do like some kind of like chicken eating celebration. So that's my only critique of the entire night. Really.
That's fair. That is definitely fair, but really good stuff there for sure. And we'll take a look at full-time stats for this one. It was expected goals for Rhode Island of 3.06 to just 0.23 for Brooklyn. So we did get the 4. I thought the XG would have been higher just with some of those saves that Jackson made. I think this very easily could have been vintage Miami performance from Byrne, where we got 7-8 goals up there. But 49% possession for Rhode Island. I know you're going to talk about this a little later on, to 51 for Brooklyn. We outshot them 18-4 with 9 shots on target to 1. 3 big chances for RI, 1 for Brooklyn. and just 75% passing accuracy for Rhode Island to 81 for Brooklyn. We committed 11 fouls to their 19, 2 corners to their 3. You see the double braces, 2 for Quazera, 2 for Williams, and JJ Williams with a 9.4 on FOTMOB, earning the man of the match with his 2 goals. So any other big picture talking points from this one, Ryan?
No, I mean, my big picture talking point, and this is going to be really controversial, but it is very fun to watch games at home where we score a ton of goals.
You don't say.
It was a lot of fun. I would say my favorite thing about that final goal is I love when we score when there's still smoke on the field from the previous goal.
Yeah.
Like that is like, we should make like, that should be like the key mission for the team is like score that second goal like as quickly as you can before the smoke dissipates, because it is super fun. And honestly, it could become, if you, let's say you score 3 in a row, that like could become like a hazard at that point. There's could be so much smoke. They might have to suspend the game. So I hope to see that at some point. We're just scoring so many goals in such succession that they have to pause the game for a little bit.
For sure. To your point about the chicken celebration, it is worth noting Chip did come out with rubber chicken. So Pawtucket J did bring that up. Chip was walking around with rubber chicken, and I do like Chris Peterson's. Instead of psycho killers after a corner kick goal, play the chicken dance.
We are in rare
That's
form.
fantastic.
There's a lot of really good ideas here, and this is how you turn a conspiracy into something that's really good for the crowd. So I like it. I'm a little nervous that Big Chicken has gotten to all of you because you're a little too excited about this, guys. Let's really kind of stay on mission here.
Yeah, I do like the chicken dance piece, but I can see how that would be seen as embracing Big Chicken, which
very much.
Yeah, we don't want to. Yes, Matt Jean says, first year at Burn against Miami, Koke asked us to stop setting off the smoke because he couldn't see through it. I did remember that conversation.
That is a very funny, that's a very funny Rhode Island FC lore, for sure.
For sure. And Timmy says he has not forgiven your wife, R.I.P. to the tinfoil hat.
You'll be shocked to hear Timmy has not brought that up to her face, but I'll tell her about that.
We're going to have to make that happen. All right, so moving on, we're going to share your thoughts with RIFC in 3 and one of our sole good, better, bests of the season, which is always good to get. We'll start in the Defiant 1636 Discord. Chelsea's good was Jojea's goals, better JJ's goals, best the atmosphere in 116 and free chicken. RIFC in 3, chicken for all. Sam D had his good bounce back performance. Better, it was a little choppy, but we were pretty dominant. Best big dog performance from the big dogs, and RAFC in 3. Roof, roof, roof. Good stuff there. I already told mine on it. It was fuck Andrew Quadros. So just to read that again with Jojea's brace. And then Andrew responded with RAFC in 3. Jojea the GOAT. Look at that guy. Just flipping all the time. Leo's good was the one-time blast from JJ off the give and go with Scardina. Almost literally blink and you miss it. Better defending, specifically off an impressive athletic and physical forward in Marcus Anderson. As good as he's looked at times, Koke was only truly tested with the lob shot that somehow managed to go in. Best, RAFC in 3 put 9 of their 18 shots on goal, either forcing great saves or hitting the back of the net. RAFC in 3 were sorry, Jackson. Dave Audette's good was free chicken for all. Better was braces for Jojea and JJ. Best, much needed dominant performance at home. Added bad, Jackson Lee declining my offer of a shoey. RAFC in 3, boots to asses. You've got Taris with good, brace for JJ and Quazera. Better, free chicken. Best, we beat a team that we're expected to beat. I think that's a very important piece to this all, Ryan. And his RAFC in 3 is on to Indy. Ben J had good, no red cards. Better, Kano behaved himself. Best, 4 goals and +4 goal differential. RAFC 2-1 Indy. So he went with the score prediction in there.
I feel like Kano's been mostly on his best behavior this year.
Yeah, that's fair. Chad M had good, grabbing 3 points. Better, Quazera's nasty strike. Best, Jackson coming over to see Defiance after losing. Class act. RFC in 3, we needed that. Andrew Milko had good results that matched the performance. Better, dominant performance with all the goals. Best, JJ plus Quazera straight up on fire. RFC in 3, braces for impact. Andrew Gomes with RFC in 3, where Brooklyn at? And Nate Ski's RFC in 3, still got it. Good offense, 10 plus shots, 4 goals. Better, Defiance 1636. Best, we win in the rain and seeing Jackson Lee and beating him. So thank you to everyone who wrote in on the Defiance Discord. FQB on Twitter had good. We won at Tidewater. Better. 3 of the 4 goals were beautiful. Best. We have Monday off. I already read Mike's, and then he came back with another RIFC and 3, a Brooklyn 911. Is that 3 or 5? Who's counting? Good stuff on there. On Facebook, we had Clayton Novak's good was Fusan's perfect service from the corner. Looked like 2024 Noah. 2024 Noah. Better Jojea's goal of the season. What a strike. Best JJ Williams was a man on a mission. Mary Kessens, this might be my favorite. RAFC and 3, chicken fried braces. Chris Peterson, precipitation breeds poultry. And we also had Jed Thorpe. Most fun I've had at Tidewater all year. I think that's probably a tough one to argue, Ryan, right?
It's tough. I would say the Hartford U.S. Open Cup game, it was truly for the sickos. That was like the truly disgusting rainy night. But being there, maybe this is also tinted by it was one of the 3 games I've been to this year. That was very, very fun.
Sure. And last but not least, on Facebook, we had Ben Grimes. Good. The welcome back for Jackson Lee. Better. Whoever came up with the scoreboard graphic of rain clouds and chicken sandwiches. Best, decisively beating a team that we're supposed to beat. So that came up a couple times there with it being a theme, and actually beating a team we're supposed to beat and not, laying down and not taking it like we normally do. But wanted to thank everyone who wrote in. Again, look for our post-match posts on all the social media platforms. You can also check out our channel in the Defiance 1636 Discord to share your thoughts, and we will do our best to get them all on air and on each and every episode. So it's time for slides, people. Let's switch gears a little bit. We're going to go in focus.
This is beautiful. So last night at the press conference, we actually heard from not Connor Smith. So one of the assistant coaches, Ugarte here, he had a little bit to say that I thought was really interesting. Always interesting when you get a different voice in the mix. So we'll turn to him quickly before we talk about his point.
That's a fantastic question, and I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to address this. I think the biggest thing that stands out is, and I'm sure you can tell, is the abuse that JJ gets, right? And it's something that really needs to be corrected, because the abuse that he gets, the punishment that he gets, he's bound to get injured. And the refs need to do a much, much better job protecting him, because he receives contact that if it was the other way around and he would be delivering the contact, he'd be getting yellows or sent off. And, he gets abused, and it's a routine foul and sometimes not even called. So it's something that, on a serious note, certainly has to improve, or if not, he's going to get injured, and player safety is the most important.
So what's your recourse with that? Do you send video into the league? How does that? Because he's obviously incredibly frustrated, and this isn't a one-time off thing.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's
not.
Like the low bridge he got tonight, where he landed on his back in the 6-yard box.
Yeah, it's criminal.
Is that a video you send in?
Yeah.
What do you do about that?
Yeah, there's a process after every game where we can provide feedback, we can provide evidence. Certainly that example that you just mentioned was, I haven't looked back at it, but I mean, it would look pretty clear cut. He's going to compete for the ball, and he gets undercutted, and he slams his body on the ground. It could be really seriously injured, and it's a no call. It's really baffling. And then
they call that the Harry Kane, actually.
Like center backs just smashing into him.
You got smashed in the back, right in front of your bench.
Yeah.
So what do you get, like, when you send stuff in like that? It's happened many times. He's
No question.
What do they say back to you? What's the messaging back to you guys?
It's pretty much same old story. Yeah, we'll look at it. We'll look to improve. We'll let the refs know prior to the game. But there's not enough being done. There's not enough being done, and it's something that really needs to get addressed.
So what can you do then? If that's the way it's going to be adjudicated, what can you do to make sure he doesn't get frustrated, because he's clearly frustrated?
Yeah, and as he should, and we try and check in with JJ all the time to do his best to keep his head. And I think for the amount of abuse that he's getting, I think he is, although there's frustration, which is normal, I think he is doing a good job trying to get on with it, knowing that he hardly gets any calls thrown his way. So all we can do is follow the process, which is been given to us, and hopefully, hope for a change. But again, players. I always go back to player safety. No one wants to see any player get injured, and he's on his way if the referees don't do something about it.
Yeah, I think that was a very good clip to bring up, Ryan. Very well spoken from Marcos Ugarte there. And the one where he got bridged and landed on his back earlier, that was Brendan Mello calling it out in the question. Like, just a very clear and obvious foul. It's almost like the referees in the USL Championship are just reluctant to give penalties at any cost.
Yeah, it's also, it is, we've talked about this in the past where, if you guys have ever seen JJ Williams, up close in person, he's a very large human, and he clearly, it's obviously beneficial in a lot of ways, but obviously, hurts the perception of him where, guys really do, there's been so many times where we see guys beat the hell out of him all game, and, there's just nothing done, and, you see a guy of his size go down, and it's just hard. He's not a person who goes down under easy contact. He's fighting for every single ball. And we see that go the opposite way. He gets so many cards and fouls and even red cards sometimes for just being physical and using his body. And then the minute someone else does it to him, there's nothing. So it is a massive issue. And I love to hear that, the coaching staff is super aware of it, and they're putting, notes in the league. They're giving the league feedback. And I like the idea of also hey, they're checking it with JJ, but it's hard because he's such a pivotal piece of this team, and I dare I say, I think a lot of our whatever we're going to do this season rides on him, being fit and available. And we've seen him go stretches without being available because of this kind of abuse that he's getting every single week. So something definitely needs to change, and because he's too good of a player for us to be losing because of incompetent refereeing.
Yeah, I like Milko bringing in Hugo here on this. I feel like when JJ or Hugo turns around too fast, they get a yellow. Falls against them are completely ignored, and I think it's just a size factor. They look at these two very large human beings, and they're physical, so they must be doing something wrong. But whenever anything happens to them, they must be faking it because it's a smaller person that did that to them. So that's the tough part and the inconsistencies that Marcos speaks to, in this interview on that, and I don't think we'll ever see the standard of the refereeing in this league increase, but at least they are, making their voices heard behind the scenes. And that was a kind of a cool clip to kind of hear about what they do to, hopefully try to improve the standard.
Yeah, I do. Speaking of Hugo, just a very funny random anecdote. One of the people I was with, he had probably have never even heard of RIFC. He was from a friend of a friend who's out of town, and but he's a huge soccer fan in general. And we were just watching in the middle of the game. He just goes, "Holy shit, who is this number 4 guy who's playing in midfield?" He's fucking huge.
Yeah.
So that was just very anecdote. That was funny. But no, there's clearly an issue with but it's sometimes it goes the opposite way. I feel like Pity doesn't get a lot of the calls he probably should. He's a much smaller guy, which I'm allowed to say.
Sure.
Again, it just goes all back to the same issue of the standard of refereeing in this league is just not very high. Like you said, I'm not optimistic that's going to change.
No.
Anywho, back to In Focus here. So I know a lot of you probably spent
Ryan's French, everyone.
Yeah, I know you guys probably spent your day doing cookouts or just having some fun. But I was in the lab, I was in the kitchen cooking here because I wanted to figure out what about last night potentially is part of a winning recipe for Rhode Island FC. So now if you go to the next slide here. So what if I told you that there is a recipe that I cooked up that has gotten us over the past since our existence, 11 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses. Are you interested?
I know what it is, but I'm going to say I hope it's the rain.
It is not the rain. That I didn't factor that into the analysis. So weather agnostic. This thing just works no matter what. Are you interested?
Is it the other team having more possession than us, Ryan?
Might be part of it. Listen, this is a recipe. There's factors to this. There's multiple factors.
All right.
But so this recipe I cooked up today. Again, 11 wins, run, draw, 0 losses. So if you go back one really quick, you good? Average goal differential on these games plus 2.25. Average expected goal differential 0.64. So this is not just we're winning for the sake of winning. This is us winning by a pretty heavy margin. So convincingly, yeah. So if you go into the actual recipe card here, which I wish I photoshopped it as a recipe card on the next slide. So these 3 factors here, this little recipe is having less than 50% possession, winning tackles, 65% of our tackles we've won, and creating 2 big chances. So when we're really kind of looking at these three numbers that came out of this analysis, it was interesting to kind of think about what do these three numbers mean. So if we go to the next slide, to me, they mean that, possession under 50%. That's us being very direct, us being like playing at speed, being very vertical, taking a lot of risk. When we look at tackle win rate above 65%, that's us having intensity. That's us really, kind of putting the boot in and really making the other team uncomfortable. And big chances over two, like that's us having some execution that we're creating some big chances. This isn't us scoring all of them, but we're actually creating enough to win. So if we go here at the end, like looking at this season so far, we've only hit this kind of trifecta two different times. One was against Charleston Battery, which we won 4-0. The other was against Brooklyn FC, where we won 4-1 here. And you'll see here we only have one other league win, which was Lexington, where we failed actually a lot of this test. But we have other matches here where, like, you look at the expected goal differential, which is the column on the right here. And I'm very sorry if you're listening on the podcast, but you'll see that like there's been other games where we had really strong performances, such as the Jacksonville game where we hit 2 out of 3 of these numbers. You'll see that the second best one here was Detroit, where we hit none of them, so that doesn't really help. But yeah, so over our past, like we have seen just over and over again, like these kind of key factors are really the one. And quite frankly, Timmy's called this out. This has been called out by many people at this point, but it really is that like 50% possession or less that like is kind of crazily the thing that helps us do so well. So, it's going to be interesting. We'll definitely keep tracking this throughout the season to see how this holds up. But doing an analysis of all 3 seasons so far, like this has been by far and away the 3 kind of key factors that help us win.
Yeah, that's a deep dive, man. That is very, very interesting stuff, because I think that if you were to talk to a lot of the fans and, kind of say those metrics, people would be a little unhappy with that and be like, oh, that's boring football. That's not what we want to see. That's not the entertaining product on the pitch. But that is what has been leading us to 3 points more often than not, as you've shown with your record there. And I think that, I do want to go back to a comment, and it's way too deep, that Pawtucket J had up early in the chat. Is someone's job a little bit safer now? And I don't even want to talk that much about it, but I want to say, I do want to say, like, was this an improved performance from Rhode Island FC, or is this just more of an indictment on how bad this Brooklyn team actually was?
I'm going to say both. So I do think we played better. I do think Brooklyn was horrific. And this one, I mean, they looking after the game, this clearly was like a very frustrating performance for them. I don't think they were good at all. But at the end of the day, like a lot of people put this in the comments in the RIFC and 3 and everything. Like, we actually beat a team that we should beat, because earlier in the year, Jacksonville is going to probably end up as one of the historically bad teams ever in this league. And we get
saying he was told the Jacksonville game wasn't a good performance.
I don't know where that. I mean, I think everyone said that we deserved to win that game, but we didn't. I think that it was a classic performance versus result, as we've been yelled at about. So I don't want to go too deep into that one, but like that was a historically bad result. Like, it's going to look really, really bad in our record at the end of the season, when we probably do some really annoying podcasts at the end in October. So I think like the fact that this tonight, like especially after they scored that second goal, like that was a classic like RIFC kind of going into their shell and like potentially either drawing or losing that game, but they fought back and they won. So I mean, you have to say it was a good result and a good performance to get that over the line.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that was kind of my bigger thought. Like, was this a really good performance versus Brooklyn, or was Brooklyn just that bad? And I think it could have been worse if not for Jackson. So I don't know. I think this was more so of a indictment on Brooklyn. Luckily, we're able to capitalize, and hopefully that's a momentum builder.
Yeah, I want to be so clear. And again, I'm full of controversial takes tonight. I'm so okay if we just kick the shit out of bad teams. Like,
well, I mean, I also got some shit on here when I said, like, you know what, maybe we could be Atletico Madrid and, just kind of play that. And Matt Hands, that's not sustainable. That's not sustainable.
Oh, I don't know if I said that.
I think the only person that agreed with me was FQB. I think he was the only person in the chat that actually agreed with that statement. And it's a big piece to your recipe for success.
Listen, I'm all about no matter there's certain styles of play that I appreciate more than others, but the only thing I truly care about at the end of the day is us winning games. And so if us being a counter pressing team or a pressing counter attacking team is what works best for the squad. And I previewed these kind of takes with you guys earlier, and I think a lot of us were saying, it kind of makes sense. Like, we're not the most technical team on planet Earth, but boy, are we physical. Boy, are we able to really kind of have those decisive moments. So I think it also it's really comes down to can we put the kind of specific talents and profiles and allow them and put them on the platform to win. And again, if only the GM and the head coach talk to each other enough that they understood the players they were bringing in and how to utilize them, we would be doing really well. That's my thought.
That would be amazing. That would be.
Listen, in organizations, it's really hard to break down the walls. Like, they talk about silos, you'll talk about kind of interdepartment inefficiencies and things like that. And you get worried when, especially in the soccer team, right? Like, when the general manager office is so disconnected from the coaching office, you really that's bad. And I think they kind of maybe go on a retreat, do some trust falls, and make sure that the GM is talking to the coach more.
Try to catch myself. I was trying to figure that one out. But all right. So, like you said, end of the day, winning is the most important thing, and we got the nice 4-1.
But we have the recipe now. We have the recipe. We got the ingredients. So sprinkle them in, coach, and let the boys run. Let's do it.
That's it. Next up for Rhode Island is a trip to Indy 11 on Saturday, May 30th. Just 5 days from now, we see the boys back in action versus Indy. Early, thoughts or anything kind of going in on this one, Ryan? With Indy, did beat Lexington 3-1 their last time out. They are currently sitting 5th on 15 points with a +4 goal differential. We moved up to 9th on 12 points, so just 3 points back, also with a +4 goal differential. They won their last time out, versus Lexington. They also beat Sporting Jacks 2-1, lost to the Rowdies 1-0, had a 2-2 draw versus Birmingham, and a 3-1 win versus Monterey Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had the energy or the commitment to going back into my Indy stinks ways back. If you were a listener back in 2024, you would have really loved that playoff prediction. I mean, this was a tough one, right? We're on the road. They have a little bit better form than us. If you look at it throughout the season, I'm going to be honest. Eric Dick scares me. He always will. He's just a very good goalkeeper, and he's very large of a human being. So
Ryan is scared by a large dick. You heard it really first on Tide Talk.
It wouldn't have been the first time anyone should have heard that. But and they have a lot of the same kind of players that have always kind of caused us issues, like Aiden Quinn, James Blake. There's a couple of guys who I'm just looking at their kind of last starting 11, being like, "Oop, I have some bad memories of them." So it might be a tough one for us to grind out a result. But I would say love that we saw some goals go in, because it's classic the shooter needs to see a couple of balls go down in basketball, which is a really weird way to phrase that. But they're clearly a team that's decent. I mean, I could see us getting a result, maybe not a win, but a nice 2-2 draw. I could see happening.
All right. I do want to, before we get to the score predictions in the chat, and again, if you haven't already, toss yours in the chat. Also smash that like button if you haven't. Do want to go to Sean Buxton's point. Indy wins and we're back to sky is falling. Are you on that? Do you feel like that'll happen? Because I sure do.
Whatever will get the views on this episode. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I would say it is hard. I think Andrew talked about this last episode where you kind of bounce around with your thoughts, because you're living it week to week doing these episodes, and it's a really weird way to look at things. And I think we try really hard to bring things up to the bigger picture, but I would say it really probably matters how the game goes. Maybe if we lose, but it's a really good performance, that's one thing. And I would say I think we try really hard to call out those games that we either again, all about performance versus result. And there are some games we actually performed really well. We got a shit goal. Jacksonville, I think, was a game where we should have won that game, but we couldn't get it over the line. Whereas there are also some games where we beat Tampa last season at Tampa, where we probably didn't deserve to win that game. We put in 3 goals that we literally never saw again the rest of the season. We got a result that was great, but like not something that you can hang your hat on. And I think we try hard to suss that out. I also think sometimes, though, it is hard when you kind of see your favorite team in the world just keep losing.
That's it. Well said. We've got Pawtucket J with a 2-1 win for RIFC. Cool Will's got a 3-1 win. Chris Peterson says we sucked lobsters last week. We've got.
I wish I sucked lobsters last week. That sounds delicious.
I watched Chris Peterson suck a lobster. Andrew Quadros with a 1-1. Derek's got a giggity. Chris, we are taking out Indy. Screw them. 3-1. Sarah's got a 1-1 draw. Hands has perspective. He's drank the Kool-Aid. He's gone. Okay. Sign in on OnlyHands, and you will learn more about that. Godfish has a 1-0 RIFC win. Derek's got 2-0. Us, Hartford loses, and we break the top 8. That would be a nice piece of that. And then Dave has a 2-1 RIFC win. I'm going to go with Quadros and Sarah. I think it's a 1-1 draw. I just think every time we go to Indy, it's not what we hope to see. It's not the result we want. We've seen that game kind of punted a few times. And like you said, there are a lot of players there who bring up some bad juju in, their history playing us. So I'm going 1-1. I do think we get a point. I hope we get a point, and I'd be okay with that. Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I went 2-2 earlier. I'm going to stick with that. Like, I'm doing a little bit of research here. Like, Indy has been one of the better teams in the league. Guess who's actually now 5th in the league in expected points for the whole season? That's Rhode Island FC, guys. We are creeping up the table. Again, need those results to match these performances. But so Indy's 3rd. I mean, this should be a good game. I actually think this is a really good test. I don't want to sort the table the opposite way, but I would assume Brooklyn's the opposite direction here. But yeah, I think the issue is like, and I think what gets us so frustrated earlier in the season, and why we've been so critical, is like, this is why it's hard when we kind of dig a hole for ourselves with some of the results we've had, because like we're still like not in the playoffs. We're still like way out. And obviously the playoff issue is further in the season for us to worry about. But like every game does count. Like 3 points now counts just as much as 3 points in September. So for us to, metaphorically throw away results and throw away points early in the season, I don't find that to be excusable at this point. And that's why we got so frustrated with things like the Jacksonville game or many other episodes that you probably have listened to, whereas like now we have a game against a team who's also doing really, really well. And it might be a tougher game. So can the boys go there and get a full 3-point result? Yes. Can they get a result at all? Absolutely. And at the same time, it's going to be a tough one. This is a good Indy team. And excited to see us test ourselves. That's for sure.
Right on. Definitely a good test, and hopefully we can, like you said, climb the table and get kind of into the playoff spots with that. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. I've been your host, Matt. For Ryan, thanks again for joining. We'll see you next time. And as always, up the tide.
Up the Tide.